Good day, everyone. I am Shename Baranda Cargason, and I am going to discuss the general guidelines in grading tests or performance tasks. Utmost care should observe to ensure that grading practices are equitable, fair, and meaningful to learners and other stakeholders. It is therefore important that when constructing a test or performance task, the methods and criteria of grading learners' responses or answers should be set and specified. In doing so, it is essential to consider the purpose of the assessment, the ability levels of the entire group being tested, and the nature of the task to be performed. The following are the general guidelines in grading tests or performance tasks. First, stick to the purpose of the assessment. Before coming up with an assessment, it is first important to determine the purpose of the test. Will the assessment be used for diagnostic purposes? Would it be formative assessment or a summative assessment? Diagnostic and formative assessments are generally not graded. Diagnostic assessments are primarily used to gather feedbacks about the learner's prior knowledge or misconception before the start of a learning activity, while results from formative assessments are used to determine what learners need to improve on or what topics of course contents need to be addressed and given emphasis by the teacher. Formative assessment results are also to be used by the learners to reflect on and monitor their own learning and therefore should not be graded. On the other hand, an assessment that is used as a summative evaluation should be assigned a grade as it is aimed to determine how well the learners were able to achieve the desired learning outcomes. The second guideline is be guided by the desired learning outcomes. The learner should be informed early on what are expected of them insofar as learning outcomes are concerned, as well as how they will be assessed and graded in the test. Such information can be disseminated through the course syllabus or during course introduction. Accordingly, the test or performance task that will be conducted in the class should only include and focus on the intended learning outcomes and the specified. Should it thus include items that have not been discussed or are not part of the course syllabus? These items should not be included in the computation of final test score. The third criteria is develop grading criteria. Grading criteria to be used in traditional tests and performance tasks should be made clear to the students. Similarly, learners should also be informed of the way of each criterion. Grading criteria and ways should be applied fairly and consistently. A holistic or analytic rubric can be used to map out the grading criteria. Developing grading criteria may be tedious. However, having clear criteria can save time in the grading process, makes the grading process more consistent and fair, communicates expectations to learners, and helps learners understand how their work is graded. The fourth guideline is inform learners what scoring methods are to be used. Learners should be made aware before the start of testing whether their test responses are to be scored based on the number right, negative marking, or through non-conventional scoring methods. As such, the learners will be guided on how to mark their responses during the test. Such instructions should be followed and applied consistently to every learner in the same class or other learners in the same course but different classes. The last guideline in grading test or performance tasks is decide on what type of test scores to use. As discussed earlier, there are different ways by which students' learning can be measured and presented. Performance in a particular test can be measured and reported through raw scores, percentage scores, criterion reference scores, or norm reference scores. It is important that different types of grading schemes be used for different tests, assignments, or performance tasks. Learners should also be informed at the start of what grading system is to be used for a particular test or task. So that's it, everyone. Thank you for listening.